Today we're going to do a quick review of the algebra properties. We have worked with the algebra properties in class, and we know that there are properties of addition and properties of multiplication. Both addition and multiplication properties have a commutative, associative, and identity property. And the properties are very similar with the exception of the type of operation we're doing. One we're adding, one we're multiplying. Commutative properties of addition and multiplication simply state that we can change the numbers around and add or multiply them in any order to get the same answer. The associative property of addition and multiplication says that we use parentheses to group numbers, and we can use those groupings and arrange them in any order to get the same answer, whether we are multiplying or adding. And the identity property of addition and multiplication tells us that if we add a number by 0, we're going to get that number, and if we multiply a number by 1, we're going to get that number. The other property is the distributive property. And with the distributive property, like for this example, we are taking one single digit and we're distributing that digit among the addends of what's in parentheses. So we would take this 5 and multiply it by the 7, take this 5 and multiply it by the 9. We show it by breaking it up in this fashion where we have 5 times 7 and 5 times 9. So we are multiplying the sum by a number, and that's the same thing as taking the sum of the addends that we've gotten and adding them together for the final product. Let's look at some examples. If we're looking over here at this, we can see that these two problems that have been already worked out are associative properties. I'm going to actually go in and erase this so that you can see exactly how these problems were worked out using the associative property. I am noticing that number 2 is definitely associative property because I can see the parentheses and the grouping. So I'm going to go back through this and we're going to look at how we're going to group number 1. Number 1 is 80 plus 7 and 11. So I am going to take the 80 plus 17. I'm going to take that and I'm going to group it so that I can add this easier. And so I can see that in the ones place, I'm not going to have to do any regrouping here. So 0 and 7 gives me 7, and then the 8 plus 1 gives me 9. So I have the 97 plus 11, and I can show the work off to the side. 7 and 1 is 8, 9 plus 1 is 10, for a sum of 108. Number 2 is also the associative property, but of multiplication. It is grouped the 3 and the 10 on this side, the 10 and the 8 on the other side of the equal sign. I am looking for 3, 10, 8 on both sides. I can clearly see that the 3 is the missing digit. What digit is missing? What factor is missing? It would be the 3. So both of these properties are the associative properties. Both of these properties. This one is the associative property of addition, and then this one is the associative property of multiplication. Okay, now we're going to look at number 3 and apply the distributive property. There are two ways we can apply the distributive property. First, we're going to use the addition way. And so what I'm going to do is put my focus on this part of the problem, 59. And I have to distribute the 6 to the 5 and the 9. I know that this 5 is really a 50. So when I look at saying 6 times 5, I'm really going to say 6 times 50. And then I'm going to say 6 times 9. The 9 is in the ones place. And I show that like this. 6 times 50 plus 6 times 9. I separate them out in groups. Then, now I have compatible numbers, my basic facts, and I can go ahead and multiply. 6 times 5 is 30. And then I have to remember my 0 for 300. I keep my addition sign. 6 times 9 is 54. That's my basic fact. And then I simply add 300 plus 54 to get 354. Now, I am going to use this same example but show how I can use subtraction with this as well. I'm still going to be looking at my 59. I'm going to make 59 a compatible number, a number that's easier to work with. The way that I'm going to do that is that I'm going to take 6 and I'm going to multiply it by 60 minus 1. I am saying that 60 times 60 minus 1 is the same thing as saying 6 times 59, because 59 is 60 minus 1. So this is why I can do that. Now I'm going to group these two together, and that way I can easily see how to now distribute the 6. So the 6 times 60, the 6 gets distributed to the 60 as well as the 1. But when I distribute it to the 1, I'm going to remember to keep my subtraction sign. So over here, I'm going to put the 6 times 1 in parentheses, and then we subtract. And now I have a compatible number, so this 6 times 59 is easier to work with. 6 times 6 is 36. Now remember to have my 0 with 36 for 360, and 6 times 1 is 6. And now I subtract 360 minus 6, and I get 354, as I would have in the first example. And then finally, when we are working on number 4, 6 plus 5 is in parentheses, so I'm going to do that first. That's going to give me 30. And then I come back and I multiply 4 times 30. And now it's an easier number to work with. They're more compatible. 4 times 3 is 12, and then I have 120 for this particular problem. Now, I have used the properties that we have been working with in order to complete these problems. So that means it is your turn to practice. Complete these practice problems in your journal. You're going to, for 1 and 2, find the missing number, name the property you use. For 3, 4, and 5, you're going to apply one of the properties to these problems and also list what property you applied. Don't forget to let us know that you have watched the video on Edmodo. Complete your list, and don't forget to hit the turn in button. See you in class.